Hi ladies, today I'm going to make one of my favorites, roasted potatoes. Now I know a lot of people think, oh my God, potatoes, it's a carb, I can't have it, it's bad for you. That couldn't be further from the truth. Potatoes are so healthy for you, they're so nutritious, they're very filling, they have tons of fiber, and they really studies have proven that people that eat potatoes on a regular basis, they're really good for weight loss. So most people don't think that, especially in this high protein lifestyle that most people are living these days. So I have potatoes multiple times a week, and some of the things that I like to look for, I like to get the small potatoes, and this is one of the companies that makes them. They come in these little mesh bags, and this one happens to be the trio, so it comes in 3 different colors, which again, like I said, variety. The more variety you have, the different fibers that you're going to be getting into your system. So these inside, they all look the same, but the outside, the skin, has a different color to it. And you want to eat the skin. You do not want to peel potatoes because that's where all the nutrition is, or a lot of the nutrition is in the peel itself. So what I like to do is, I'll turn my camera down a little bit, but I like to cut my potatoes up even smaller. You can use regular big potatoes and cut those down, but again, you're not getting as much skin then, and again, that's where most of the nutrition is in the skin, so you want to get some smaller potatoes that have more skin, and that way you're getting more nutrition. So I like to take my small potatoes. Now you can roast them just like this if you want, but I like to cut them a little bit smaller even, because it gets more crispiness around the edges and more flavor, because I'm gonna season them. Again, like I said, we always wanna season them. So like, you see these dark potatoes still are white inside. And there we go. So I'm gonna chop those up. Now I've already chopped a whole bunch of my potatoes. So there's 2 different ways you can roast these. You can either roast them on a baking sheet in the oven. So I'm gonna do some that way because I have a lot here. And then, or you can do them in the air fryer, in the air fryer basket. And this gets them toasty all around and takes about 1/4 of the time to cook as it does in the oven. But it depends on what you're doing, and if you have a lot of extra time if you're in the kitchen anyways, you can throw them in the oven and do it that way. And if you're doing a big batch of them, depending on the size of your air fryer, you might want to do it that way. So what I do is, to start, again, I have them in a big bowl, and I've got them all cut up already. And I take this is my oil mister. So you just put regular olive oil in here, and then you pump it up, and it adds pressure and turns it into a spray. So this way, I'm not using too much oil, because that's a big problem that a lot of people have when they start, when they're going to roast something or cook some kind of vegetables. They usually put a little too much oil, and that kind of reduces the healthy aspect of the food. So what I'm going to do is just spray some oil in here, and then I'm going to toss it. So now I'm just going to toss it around to mix the oil up, to get the oil on as much as I can, and then I'll spray it some more. But when you use the mister, you're using very, very small amount of oil. Where if I was to pour some oil onto this and then try to mix it around, I would be using a lot of oil. And oil has a lot of calories and no fiber, because the fiber has been stripped out. Even though it's made of olives, the fiber has been stripped out when you make it into oil. So you don't want to use too much oil, because then you're adding a lot of extra calories to your vegetables. So okay, so you can see they're all shiny now, so the seasoning will stick to them better. So I'm not measuring anything. I'm just going to, oops, I don't want to sprinkle there. So I'm just going to sprinkle some salt, and I'm going to sprinkle some pepper. Now you can put any seasonings that you want on here, and I'm going to put some garlic. But if you don't like garlic, don't put garlic. If you don't like it peppery, don't put the pepper. I'm going to throw some thyme on there as well. You can put different things on your potatoes. Rosemary is always a good thing. Oh, I want more thyme on there. So, all right. And then we just toss that up a little bit to get all the seasoning all around the potatoes. And that looks good. And you can always add more if you need to. So I'm gonna probably add a little bit more just because there's a lot in here. And the stuff on the bottom might not have gotten as much seasoning on it. We like a lot of pepper at my house. And definitely garlic. Garlic is a big thing at our house. And a little bit more thyme. There. So now I'm gonna toss that up a little bit again. So now my potatoes have a lot of seasoning on them. Again, you always wanna season your vegetables because if you eat bland, boring vegetables, you're not gonna wanna eat them very often because you're gonna be saying, that's gross and boring and I need some other thing to eat. I need some more flavor in my mouth. So making your food taste good is very, very important. So I'm gonna put some of these potatoes onto my air fryer rack. And the secret with this is you wanna make sure that it's a single layer, that you don't have too much on there because then they won't cook as well. You might have to like toss them around more. And again, with the oven as well on the baking sheet, a single layer is what you want. So there, let me get this oil off my hands. Okay, so my air fryer, I've got them on the basket and they look great and I'm gonna pop those into my air fryer. Now I like to set it for about 10 minutes at 450 on air fry. And then I'll take them, I'll check them at 10 minutes and I might have to go a little longer, but I don't want them to overcook because in the air fryer they cook pretty quick. So usually not more than 20 minutes, but usually between 10 and 15 minutes for the air fryer. Now for the oven, these will probably take about 40 to 45 minutes to roast the way that I like them in the oven. So I'm gonna pop these in the oven. There. So I've got some potatoes in the oven and in the air fryer. So I'm gonna let those cook, then I will come back and I will take them out and so you can see the finished product. Okay, so my air fryer potatoes are done. And I'm gonna pull those out here. So you can see how nice and browned they are, nice and crispy all around. But that's what I said, I like to have them small because I get some nice, the nice crispiness all the way around and the seasoning all around it. So you can do them whole. Again, they take a little longer. If you leave the little round ones whole, you can do them that way. They took a little longer to cook, but you also don't get as much of the crispiness and the flavor because the seasoning can't get on the inside. So my oven roasted potatoes are still in and I had set it for 20 minutes. So there's still another like 10 minutes left on that. And then those won't be done at that point. I will flip them over and then I'll put them back in the oven and I'll come back and show you those once they're done. Okay, my roasted potatoes from the oven are done now, so I'm gonna pull those out. All right, and they look great. So they're nice and brown. Pretty much look the same as the air fryer ones. They just took a lot longer. So it was about 40 minutes total. And I took halfway through, I actually went and flipped them all over, put them back in the oven. So it's a little bit more work, but if you have the oven going and you have a lot to cook, sometimes this might be easier. But the air fryer ones look just as good. And I like the air fryer ones. I think they're a little crispier too. So either way, they're great. So don't be afraid of potatoes. They're so good for you. I hope you try the roasted potatoes. Check out the recipes. They're delicious.